Surprise, surprise, despite all the hype, EV sales are still rising, but is the bubble about to burst? Despite widespread predictions of waning consumer interest, electric vehicle sales are still climbing, but not for the reasons you might think. Is the industry truly thriving, or are we looking at an unsustainable surge driven by massive discounts and loopholes? The latest data reveals a far more complicated and shocking story. Let's break this down by the numbers. In quarter 3 2024, a staggering 346,000 EVs were sold, representing a 5% jump over quarter 2 and an 11% year-over-year increase. Now, at first glance, this seems impressive, but the details are where things get murky. So EVs now make up 8.9% of all vehicles sold, the highest share ever recorded. But is this really the organic growth we've been promised, or is it propped up by heavy incentives and questionable market practices? So what is the industry saying? While year-over-year growth has slowed, EV sales in the U.S. continue to march higher. This according to the director over industry insights at Cox Automotive. But let's not pretend it's all sunshine and rainbows. This growth is fueled by incentives and discounts, not exactly a ringing endorsement of strong consumer demand. As EV prices stagnate and more affordable models hit the market, we might see even greater adoption, but at what cost? Are we headed toward an EV market that's propped up by gimmicks and subsidies rather than genuine consumer interest? The truth is in the numbers. In quarter 3, EV incentives averaged a whopping 12% of the average transaction price, compared to just 7% across the rest of the industry. And let's not forget the infamous leasing loophole, which allowed all EV buyers to snag huge discounts with government-backed incentives. With prices this artificially low, no wonder sales are up. But what happens when these incentives dry up? Could the industry collapse without them? The average cost of an EV rose only 1% year over year in quarter 3, sitting at just over $57,000. Still a steep price tag compared to the industry-wide average transaction price of $48,000 on average. The question we should be asking, how many buyers are choosing EVs because they truly want an EV, and how many are just chasing deals? While overall sales in the industry decline, some brands are enjoying a temporary spike in EV demand. But look closer. It's clear that the so-called growth isn't quite what it seems. GM's EV sales soared nearly 60%, reaching 32,000 and change in quarter 3, making it the second best EV seller. But GM's success is largely driven by deep discounts and government incentives, not necessarily a surge in consumer interest. Without these financial crutches, can they sustain this momentum? We'll see. Then there's Tesla, the undisputed EV king, saw a more modest growth of 6.6%, largely thanks to its new Cybertruck, which sold over 16,000 units at an ATP of $116,000. But is Tesla's dominance on shaky ground with growing competition and reliance on premium price models? Even Tesla might feel the squeeze soon. Hyundai Motor Group's EV sales were flat, unchanged year over year at 29,600. If one of the biggest players in the EV space can't move the needle, what does this say about the real demand for these vehicles? Then there's Ford and Honda, which round out the top 5 with 23,500 and 15,000 EV sales respectively. But with rising production costs and shrinking incentives, these numbers could crater as quickly as they climb. So why does all this matter? Despite all the headlines screaming about an EV slowdown, the reality is far more controversial. Yes, forecasts have been adjusted and price concerns loom large, but EV sales are still on the rise. For now, the market is projected to add another 1 million units this year, but is this sustainable growth, or are we heading towards an EV bubble? The truth is, this so-called growth is being propped up by aggressive government incentives and price cuts. If these subsidies stop or consumer demand fades, we could be looking at a sharp correction. EVs might be the future, but that future looks a lot shakier than the industry would have you believe. The bubble hasn't burst yet, but don't be shocked when it does. In the meantime, you can see and find the lowest advertised prices on new and used vehicles in your area, car, trucks, and SUVs and EVs, by visiting quotes.everymandriver.com. Using the drop-down menu, select your make, model, and your zip code to gain access to dealer pricing. If you don't like or find what you want in your area, expand that zip code. Be willing to travel a little bit outside your area. You could save a few hundred, possibly a few $1,000s on a new truck, car, or SUV by visiting quotes.everymandriver.com. There's also a direct link below this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with the latest insights from the automotive world. Hope to see you next time. Today's video is brought to you by The Cold Plunge. Use discount code DAVE150 at checkout at thecoldplunge.com. Immediately save $150 off your purchase. That's DAVE150 at thecoldplunge.com. There's also a link below this video.